my thanks to number one, DocuSign for hosting us here in this beautiful venue. And then number two, to Grant Thornton for helping sponsor this event. So thank them for all the yummy food over there. Feel free to grab some more, as well as the drinks. So we're really appreciative of the team also showing up today. So Helen is going to be one of the panelists later on. All right. So my personal background, I'm a Chinese-born, Germany-raised Canadian-American, married to a Costa Rican. So here's my personal itinerary. And my company, Compass, which was started about 4 years ago, provides software and professional services to help B2B SaaS companies plan and then execute their global growth. So in that role, I have seen a lot of mistakes being committed and certain patterns over and over and over again. So today I want to share some of those observations with you and also ways to mitigate them. And in keeping with the holiday theme of today, I will deliver them partially in song format. So, in the first month of Global, my company gave to me a 3-year global strategy. So it's amazing to see how many companies start to expand globally without having any plan in place. Okay, and then they wonder why things keep on going wrong. So how many of you guys are married? Okay, so to me, planning global is a little bit like planning a wedding, okay? So you have immense time pressure, you have lots of competing interests, and it always ends up costing more than you think it will in the beginning, right? So the good news is having a good plan will help you increase the success rate, and if you do well, just like with a good wedding, everybody wins. In the second month of Global, my company gave to me 2 data centers. So if you're based in the US, you can no longer assume that your customers are going to be okay with hosting all the data in country, right? So there's increased scrutiny all over the world in terms of data privacy and data jurisdiction. There's 20, I think, to 30 legislations that are being considered and implemented around the world, starting with GDPR in Europe, which is very top of mind for all of the companies that we work with. So in the best case scenario, they're okay with you having your US servers and then maybe one in Frankfurt. But actually just last week, an EMEA VP that we work with told me that even now, the German companies are considering AWS to be an American company and are, viewing it with a little bit of suspicion. So it's a hashtag the Snowden effect. But if you want to learn more, I actually have Max in the audience. He works for AWS. So in case you need some expertise in that area, find him afterwards. In the third month of Global, my companies gave to me 3 payment gateways. So billing is a perennial pain point for all of the companies that we work with because the preferred way of payment is different across the globe. So invoices, are very different in the UK. The VAT rates are very different in Germany versus in India. And getting all of these pretty simple administrative things right in the beginning will help you prevent a lot of problems with delayed payments or just the customer getting really annoyed at you because you can't get it right. In the 4th month of Global, my company gave to me 4 regional VPs. So my point here actually is if you're just starting off, don't hire a regional VP. What you really need is a tiger team, right? So one of our customers right now, they're expanding into a new market, and what they're doing is transferring their best sales guy over to the new country as the ambassador, and then they're hiring a local person to support him, as well as a sales engineer. And all of the other functions are accounted for, but they're all remote. And only after about 6 months, once they have some traction, will the company make the decision to hire local resources and invest. So from my perspective is, only if there is traction and you can afford to hire the more expensive regional VP who kind of brings the entire team up to a higher level. And what I've also seen is if you hire this person too early, then the alignment, so the expectations won't be aligned, because then you have someone with a big title, right? But they're going to be treated just like a regular salesperson, and they're going to have the quota, hanging over them. So I've seen a few unhappy regional VPs encounter that problem and then end up leaving the organization. In the 5th month of global, my company gave to me 5 top countries. So prioritization is crucial. And when you go into a new market, you should go in and play to win instead of playing whack-a-mole all the time. Because executives get really excited about chasing the next shiny thing, but they don't necessarily think about sort of the medium and long-term repercussions that all of these various disparate deals have on the rest of the organization. So with our customers, we help them figure out in advance what are the right criteria to consider when you have a new geography. And then what are the right criteria to consider to help you decide, are we as an organization ready to be successful in this new market right now? And this way you can compare apples to apples, right? And then make decisions around how do we allocate our limited resources in the most optimized way. And with this slide, I have also fulfilled one of my personal professional dreams of using a cat GIF in a professional presentation. So in the 6th month of global, my company gave to me 6 PNLs. So once you know where to go, you also need to figure out, well, how much is it going to cost, right? Because going global will not necessarily be profitable right away. And your CFOs will ask you for this information. They want to see light at the end of the tunnel. So the CFOs that we work with, oftentimes they come to me and they complain. They hate it when their team members come to them and ask for small investments piecemeal. What they want is sort of the full picture. So our recommendation is build a country-by-country P&L, and there doesn't need to be any symmetry, right? One country is very different from another. The resources required are going to cost, have different cost bases. But when you build out this plan, then you can, in advance, think about how much will it cost, let's say, for the next 3 years, and again, be able to compare the various countries to each other in order to make a decision. On the 7th month of global, my company gave to me 7 languages. That your local teams need to speak the local language is sort of a given, but I want to remind all of the product folks out there to also think about that in advance. So for me, I get headaches when I hear the word hard-coded in the context of global products. And right now I have a customer whose product for the German market does not support search by umlaut. Okay, so don't let that happen to you. And if you want to find out more, talk to Talia afterwards. She's the real expert in this area. In the 8th month of global, my company gave to me 8 functional leads. Going global is a collaborative process, and each functional leader should really co-own the global success. And I see more and more tasks that require multiple functions to work very closely with each other. So for instance, one of our customers based in New York, they're working right now on their GDPR compliance. And so they have to have legal, marketing, and the engineering team work very closely together because they have to update their end user license agreement. They have to adjust all of the privacy policies that need to then show up on their websites. And also they have to make sure they can delete the data if there is someone who comes with a request, and that's part of the GDPR right to forget compliance. So they have weekly calls where they keep each other updated on what's happening, and then they keep all of the tasks and the statuses aggregated in one place for everybody to see, and this way they keep each other accountable. In the 9th month of global, my company gave to me 9 flagship deals. So to really establish yourself in a new market, you want to get that first big customer, right? So that's going to be your reference customer for the entire region. And a lot of times the teams will focus a lot of their effort on just closing the deal, but they neglect to think about, well, what needs to happen afterwards to deliver it. And so what we always remind them to do is, again, think about that, think about the medium-term repercussions of that, and make the flagship deal successful. Don't just think about the first step of signing the deal. So everyone on the leadership team, regardless of what function, should have some transparency around what's coming down the pipe. And remember, only you can prevent fire drills for your colleagues. In the 10th month of global, my company gave to me 10 local partners. So these days, if your solution is fairly self-service or you can take advantage of resellers, then it's a very cost-effective and efficient way to establish a global footprint. Now, again, just like before with the deals, it's not enough just to sign a partnership agreement. You need to have dedicated resources thinking about how to actually empower them, right? How to give them a boost, because they're going to need advice from you how to do sales and marketing. You need to give them technical training. On an ongoing basis, you want to give them incentives to actually put your services top of the list. And oftentimes, in the very beginning, you may have to send people on the ground to help them build the pipeline. Because if there's no pipeline, then they're going to figuratively starve to death, right? So I'm going to close off by saying, well, we're going to have a whole panel in about 20 minutes to tell you all their secrets. In the 11th month of Global, my company gave to me 11 analysts. Make friends with the industry influencers, especially as growing companies, as startups, you need to have that credibility. So one of the Asia VPs that we're working with now, he says that, well, we can't go into Japan right now because we're not featured in any of the lists. We don't have sort of the stamp of approval from Forrester or from the other ratings agencies. And I need to wait for that to happen before we even step foot into a market that tends to be more conservative. And on the other hand, I have another customer that did get placed into the Forrester wave, and they got a ton of inbound leads without doing much at all. And now they're preparing to get into the UK market. And part of the marketing plan for the UK explicitly is to look for those local influencers to continue to deepen their brand equity. And you know how the song finishes off, right? So since I'm preaching to the choir, feel free to sing along. On the 12th month of Global, my company gave to me 12 months of jet lag, 11 analysts, 10 local partners, 9 flagship deals, 8 functional leads, 7 languages, 6 PNLs, 5 top countries, 4 regional VPs, 3 payment gates, 2 data centers, and a 3-year global strategy.